The turn of the tide, I can see an innate desire. Sword in hand, warriors side by side, I can feel it, it burns like fire. Worlds collide, an unstable landscape, side by side, but that's what this man thinks. Be it might, and unlikely allegiance, we will fight because that's the best defense. No turning back for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Glorious death. Our goal, our mission is clear as we ride against a dark empire. By my soul, may the last thing they hear be the roar of this raging fire. Listen, be the savagery mindset. Not today, we'll let loose and find it. Brutal will define our reaction. Rip out the throat of each one in their fashion. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Fear not, my friend, for righteous the path. They shall remember glorious death. Glorious. The angels have fallen, my allies are beaten and broken down. I shed not a tear. After all, this is why we are here. A war we were not supposed to win. If I'm to die tonight, I'll kill every demon that stands in my sight. Go! You must sing me a fool. I'll stand on the skeletons of every goal. But if I'm to die, well, this very night, we'll kill every demon that stands in us. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Fear not, my friend, for righteous the path. They shall remember glorious death. Make them remember glorious death. Glorious
Services has a bundle for all budgets. You can be fully protected with emergency response for just $49.99.
And we are live. This is Braxcast live once again. Already got some people in the chat. We've got Merc Lounge in the chat. Of course, he's one of the Rippafest winners. So congrats to you, my friend. We got Anthony Buck in the chat. I don't think I've seen you before. Nice to see you as well. Of course, we've got Andrew in the chat. Very nice to see him, and Student of God as well. And of course, we've got Garfield who's saying congrats to me because I'm also one of the winners of the Rippafest. So I guess we just ought to get into that because there's actually, the 6th Rippazine launched as well. So there's actually a decent amount of stuff to talk about. The last couple of weeks has been pretty slow in terms of news for the Rippaverse. Mark saying congrats on the win. I appreciate all of you guys. So I'll probably keep on saying that. But we do have, like I said, the Rippaverse winners. And of course, what we have is this cover up, the cover / pit up. Mads Duck won this. I think this is I love this style. Of course, it's Horseman style. Number 2 is Lee Sands, but of course, it's like, I don't know, Hoao Del Mondes. I'm butchering that, but this is like it's Chef's Kiss. This is a really good drawing of Yaira. Let's see, something to talk about, as Eric said, he's got 2 books being written, one about how to make money in comics. Oh, that's an interesting thing. I mean, there's probably nothing much more to comment on other than that. Evelay music, watching Unwrapped with Miss Evelay, but doing my best to split my attention. That's okay, Evelay. But, or Evelay, however you say it, you also won. Yeah, you can DM me that clip, we can go over that. But you won the music. I listened to that Horseman song. It's really good. So congrats on that. Also, really good song. I need to make like some sort of like mashup video to go along with that. If you've got something like that, I would love to play it on the intro for my streams. So yeah. Anthony did not know that I was one of the winners, but congrats to me. So we're going to go through all the Rippafest winners. So we just went through the pinup. We got the sequential art here. Let's see. So this is Philip Space, who won first place. Basically got like Yaira coming in. Then you see Zalen right there. And then, of course, there's like a little fight between Zalen and Yaira, which I think is like one of the most anticipated matchups of the Rippaverse, is Zalen versus Yaira. Second place is Roberto Villacava, which is basically her at Projexus, Yaira at Projexus, or should I say Sally Rodell, and then Horseman crashes onto the scene, and then Yaira just shows up, which actually would be a pretty interesting story. Third place is Scribbles, and Scribbles actually also won in the coloring, I believe. So we'll go over that soon. But this is like a really manga encounter between Blue Shift and Yaira, and it's like the panel layout, like I could say could use some editing, but this is done really well. Like, it's drawn really well. I would love a non-canonical like manga, just like of Blue Shift, like encountering like every character in the Rippaverse. Like, he gets his ass handed to him by Alpha Core, and then Yaira, and then Zalen, and then Isom. It would be hilarious. I would absolutely love something like that. Do like, a good like 15 to 20 pages a chapter, post it online, have it, be a perk for the members. I definitely would recommend, I know Andrew's in listening to this, I would recommend giving Scribbles that like commission, because this is just like too good to not pass up. Like I said, like, have it be non-canonical, just something, to entertain the fans. Absolutely would love to see something like that. And also would love like a Blue Shift manga. So like, you do either that or just give him like a full-on like Blue Shift manga. I think that'd be a really, really cool thing to do, because I think his character would actually play pretty well for a manga. But anyways, that's just me getting a whole bunch of ideas. Let's see. We've got the coloring. So this is James Frank, who won first place, and this is all the same piece by Caden White. Then we got Pedro Estuco, and then, of course, like I said, Scribbles got that for place as well. So he could also color, which is really cool. So you could do colored manga, which would be really nice. I'm not sure if it's colored manga. Now, of course, we're going to skip the Community Choice Creator of the Season for a little bit. So community or the content creator, community choice creator of the season. We covered this. That was Mr. Stale. He was the first winner. And of course, in the chat is the music contest winner, Evalay's Horseman theme, which I, of course, listened to. It's really, really good. Recommend you guys giving a listen to it. But then, of course, we've got the content creators. So I was actually watching through this video a little bit, this one, because it's mine. I won. I did a special episode of the Braxcast with like how to start with the Rippaverse, about 23 minutes or so. And that video was apparently good enough to be a winner for the Rippafest, which very grateful for. Let's see. Then, of course, we got the lore creator. I was just watching the beginning of this. Volunteers Hero made a video on the Accepts of Gods in the Rippaverse. And, of course, we got Merc Lounge covering Norfolka #1. I believe this is a seemingly a non-spoiler. It's a FOSS video, so not a full-on review, it seems, for about 3.5 minutes or so. I'll definitely give it a like. Probably have to watch it at some point on stream along with... I'm not sure. Would you guys want me to watch my own video on stream? I think that'd be pretty cringe for me to do, but I mean, if you guys want me to do it, but yeah, definitely these two I ought to watch on stream at some point and give my commentary on. But of course, like I said, I did win. Andrew hasn't contacted me, or nobody from the Rippaverse has contacted me yet to give me my store credit. I assume Andrew is drinking too much boxed wine. But I'll give him some grace. It is Friday. So anyways, let's get up with the chat. So that's everything from the Rippafest. So very quick covering of the Rippafest right there. Asking, Mike is saying to not do it. So I think I won't. I don't like hearing myself, but I have to when I edit videos. Yeah, I do very minimal editing. It's one of the reasons why I don't like to really heavily edit my videos, is because like I don't like to listen to my voice. So I cut off the beginning, I cut off the end, and very rarely, if like in the one take that I do my videos, like I stumble or I have to get something. I think when I did like an episode of Braxcast, I had to do a cut when I was showing the Norfolka vinyls. So I basically had to I cut that. Very rarely do I edit stuff in the middle. So I don't like really heavily edit the videos. Which, you know, I think I've gotten criticized for. I would say, like, rightfully so. But anyways, no wine tonight. I typically take 1 month off of wine as a detox every year, and this just happened to be January. Okay, good for you. Good for you. Let's see. So, of course, yes, winning is neat, but I'm more hyped to be able to buy more books. I honestly am as well. I'm surprised you don't do videos responding to other Rippaverse fan videos. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, it primarily is just making the content about the Rippaverse. So, like, you know, to me, I feel like I barely have time to, like, do that slightly well. I don't know. I guess people will seem to like what I do. Very grateful for that. But it's not like I have this, like, I mean, I could probably do it on live stream. I think I ought to, like, you know, dedicate some live stream time to covering those videos and responding to that. But like doing it as episodes of the Braxcast is not really what like it's intended to be. Really, what I started this as was like me, like, okay, I'm going to cover the Rippaverse and everything that's like related to the Rippaverse. And I think when people go watch the recorded episodes of Braxcast, they want to go for what's happening that week in Rippaverse stuff, not like me responding to like as cool as like someone like Merc Lounge or Volunteers Hero or Macabre Derek or Renowned Zero. Haven't made content about the Rippaverse in a while, but there are people who are making that. So I don't think like, wow, that stuff is cool. That's stuff that like isn't necessarily like, I'd say it's not my intention with the Braxcast. And Anthony saying the Braxcast is dope. I appreciate that. So as someone who watches the Braxcast, am I getting this correctly that like you watch it for me to cover the Rippaverse, not necessarily like the Rippaverse fan stuff? Not that the fan stuff isn't cool, but like my intention, like I said, when I started it was to cover what's going on in the Rippaverse, not necessarily like respond to like what the fans are doing in the context of the Rippaverse. I do think it's a live stream thing I ought to do, like watch fan videos and like react to them live off the cuff. But doing it as like part of like the recorded episodes I do for Saturday, probably want to film this one 97. I'm almost at 100, guys. I would have been at 100 if I didn't go on a hiatus for so dang long. But I want to do, I mean, it's going to snow like 1 to 3 inches, probably more up north, but I want to go hiking. Because like I'm insane. I'm going winter hiking, man. And gotta like get outside because man, God, I stay inside all day. I'm just gonna do bad things. Yeah. So Ripaverse and Ripaverse related. Yeah. So I guess I could do more, maybe more fan stuff. But anyways, for me personally, I do like to keep it like very strictly on Ripaverse, and probably doing the like responding to videos on live stream would probably be the best place to do it. Joker still needs to pitch his Roman Empire in the Ripaverse idea. So, yeah, I mean, I apparently will be featured in the Rippazine now, which will be cool. And we can go full screen here. Let's see. It's apparently a Katie did clip that not Doc that he's sending me. But anyway, so it is in fact Katie Did's channel. But anyway, she's got the clip. We can watch this one a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, I can always I don't have it super like in my head though. Yeah. Oh, anytime it's a slow week. Yeah, so anytime it's a slow week, I can honestly dedicate Rippa, to recording Rippaverse, to responding to like Rippaverse videos, like Rippaverse fan videos. And I can probably find those on the Discord pretty easily. And of course, I got like Merc Lounge is making a bunch. Wolverine, yeah, Ginger Wolverine is making a bunch. He's made a bunch. And of course, Volunteers Hero. So probably go through those on the slow weeks. But like if it's a really slow week and there's nothing going on with the recorded episodes, I don't want to do just like, oh, here's me reacting to stuff, like, oh, here's me showing off a bunch of fan art, even though I guess that could be cool doing a bunch of fan art. Maybe I'll do that on a really slow week, or maybe it's like a pre-recorded one. Yeah, because for Valentine's Day I'll be traveling, most likely. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, but gotta see about that. So there'll probably be a one weekend or so, probably be weekends where I'll be having to do stuff for like do recorded stuff. And if there's nothing, like I don't have a deck of Dokemon cards to show off or anything like that, then I could just show off some fan art or go over a fan video or something like that. But anyways, that's just me spitballing. So anyways, yeah, Evole saying hiking is like, strong emoji. Yes, hiking is very nice. So last one I did was Tecumseh. That was a 4,000 footer. So there are 48 4,000 mountains that are 4,000 feet or tall. I was talking about this, and Mike was like, "Oh, that's baby stuff," because he lives in Colorado. But anyways, the 4K footers, and this is like northern Appalachia mountains. So I've really liked hiking. Tecumseh was brutal, man, because it was just like a straight slope up for most of it. What I'm doing is called Mount Garfield. It's 10 miles, and I think since it's wintertime, the road to get in there, because with any hiking trail, it's not like a very structured place to park. With Tecumseh, it's by a ski resort, so you have like actually like an actual parking lot, and then you can just go to the trail. But with this one, the road most likely is going to be closed, so I'll have to park off the route. It's route free. And then I'll have to like walk a mile, get to the trail, then 10 miles up the mountain, then 10 miles. So it'll be like a 20-something mile. So I gotta get up early tomorrow, man. There's some fulfillment coming, so there should be content for the recorded videos. Yeah, no, certainly is going to be, Mike. So I'm not super concerned with there being content. Let's see. Our biggest mountain is like 1,500 feet. She scoffs. Yes. Saying that your wife is a mountain snob. Because Colorado has got like 6,000 like a baby mountain, right? And that's the tallest mountain in New Hampshire, and up this part of the country is about 6,200 feet is Mount Washington, and it's part of the presidential range. Even though Garfield was a president, it's not part of the presidential range. Actually, I did see it. Did go on a hike, and I did see like a good part of the presidential range is really beautiful. So I love the mountains up here. I love I love this like region that I'm in, although I want to be up north, although that presents like a bunch of like logistical issues for me. Because like I'm kind of like integrating into where I'm at now. So I'm not like 100% sure if I will do it. But it's definitely something I want to do. But anyways, yeah, the action figures are coming. I'm excited for those. I'll be showing those off. I got two, one to keep in the box, the collector's edition, and then one I'll take out and actually, show. Let's see. Yeah, definitely, I am hyped for that. Card binder is on the way. Mike has bad knees, lives at 6,200 feet, and it's essentially flat where my house sits. So you live on a plateau. Yeah. Oh man, you're northeast. I've always wanted to visit. Yeah. I was always in the northeast. So I was born and raised in New York, and then I moved to New Hampshire. So I went slightly more north and slightly more east. So I'm in New England. So pretty like it's called like the mid-Atlantic where New York is, and it's like basically the states like you think of like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York as like a region, and then it kind of ends around, I would say Maryland is where you start getting into like what you would consider to be the South, like after everything after Maryland. So you got like the Carolinas, Virginia, of course, like West Virginia is like very solid Appalachia. So Appalachia is like that. Kentucky, some of Tennessee, basically. And then the Midwest starts with like Ohio, Michigan, and then of course you got the Great Plains, which is Colorado. Well, Colorado, that's more the Rockies. So there's a lot of regions in this country. But anyways, it's a different region of the country than where I grew up. So the Northeast is like divided into New England and the Mid-Atlantic. Now Maryland is the North, Virginia is the start of the South. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is like the Mid-Atlantic goes to Maryland is what I'm saying. And then like everything after Maryland is what you would consider to be the South. Although people say like Florida really isn't the South. It's like the American subcontinent. Like it's just its own thing. I live in Texas and was 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so there's not much to say about that. Yeah, honestly, man, it was pretty balmy like last week. It was like almost like 50 degrees last week, and I'm like, is it spring? But now it's like 20 degrees. It's like 20 degrees out right now. I can actually, yeah, it's 23 degrees out right now according to the weather. And I live in the warm part of the state, man. I was in the start of winter. I was way up north, man. And it was freaking cold. Like that first day, man. It's probably I could check the weather up there, and that's where I'll be going. I'll be going not as far up north, but yeah, I'll be going up to Grafton County. That's where Garfield is. But anyway, northern Florida is the South, but for some reason, South Florida isn't. That is so freaking weird. Yes. Pennsylvania calls us South. Virginia calls us North. Yeah, Maryland. Yeah, so Maryland is a bit odd. Let's see. But anyways, there's a lot of really interesting stuff. And also, Mike, I did talk to the Marine recruiter. I took a practice ASVAB. And I knew what it was because of you, and he was impressed that I knew what it was. He was more impressed of the score I got. It was a practice one. I got an 87 out of like, I don't know, like 91 is the highest score you could get, or like 99. And he's like, oh, I only saw a couple of people ever get a score this high. And like, the test was not that hard, man. I am like really disappointed if like the score I got was impressive. Like, probably got like a bunch of dunderheads. Might be like mean for me to say, man. But that test was not that hard. I feel like any 10th grader should have been able to get as good a score as I did on that test. But then again, public school system does not really form a lot of great minds these days, or has it ever? But anyways, yeah, but I could get basically like any job I wanted to, assuming I passed like the more practical part, which, assuming with that test is like, do you know how to hold a wrench? What ways do screws in to go to tighten them? What's, positive, what's negative, stuff like that. With the level of what the the ASVAB was, then yeah, I'm assuming. So 99 is the highest. I scored an 88, and I just showed up totally unprepared. Yeah, that's how I was. It's like, oh, just take the test, man. I was like, okay, and I just sat and I just took it. I was like tired, and I hadn't eaten, so like I wasn't like at full throttle. And I like I said, I got like an 87. That was the practice one. So I get a higher score if I took the actual one because there'd be more questions. So, anyways, Merck pointed out in his recent video, and I missed it in the detention crew trailer. There's a sign that had wasteland directions. It's probably the wasteland mentioned in the new Rippazine. That is interesting. That is really interesting, and that's a really subtle detail. They've put really subtle details in the backgrounds of things before, so I'm not surprised we've got something like that. So, anyways, let's see. Yeah. So, and Mark is responding saying that he's positive that it is the wasteland that's mentioned. The wasteland, it seems to be like by Michigan or something like that. So we're going to remove that. I'm going to stop screen. I'm going to do share screen window, also share the audio. Okay, so we're going to watch this clip. Ba-doop.
Clip, snip, snip.
Let me get personal with y'all. I have been writing. This is an NDA. I'm saying this because someone brought up NDA. This is an NDA right now. I don't know how it's gonna land, but I've been working on 2 books that are not comic books, like how-to books, basically. And I just don't know what the market is for that, something like that. I probably will release it digital as well, in addition to the physical copy. But I've been writing basically a kind of Rippaverse, how to make money in comics, like the Rippaverse way. And I'm trying to write it in a way that's broad enough to apply to other creative endeavors. And it's basically just taking my entire knowledge base and putting it in book form. Not something that's like crazy, like it's thorough, but not like I'm not trying to. It's not meant to be like this fucking 1,000-page book or some shit like that. Which I probably could do that, but it's just more to be more giving you a surface level idea of the basics of what I think are the most important things that I think that I find to be valuable or to others, that could be valuable to others, that they could also take in their own creative journeys and turning their hobby into a business. Business, yeah. Business is in the chat. I just don't. I wonder how. I don't know how that's gonna land. I've been working on this. This is something I've been quietly working on for a while, and I just don't know how, what the market for that is. To look in the coach. Yeah, I know there's coaching guys out there that are selling courses and making $1 billion. But I don't know. I mean, I wonder what the market is for something like that. But I've been working on it. Something I've been working on, and I'm not gonna lie. Eventually, I'm gonna put it out. But I don't know what my expectation should be on something like that. Heavy on the shoulders with all the hair by July. Business the July way. See, now we're getting creative. Now we're getting now we're getting creative.
Clip, and snip, snip.
Okay, guys. So that was pretty interesting, although not really that much because, Eric is very vague when talking about future projects. He likes to NDA, maintain the NDAs, I ought to say, which honestly is a very fair thing to do. I think there would be a decent market for it but he definitely should do it digital. He definitely should do it like cheap. It should be like a $10 thing at most. A guide on like how to make money in comics, like his business acumen. Because when you make as much money as Eric July, it's definitely something like people take attention to and people would want to emulate. So like him laying out how he did it, of course, there are things that are pretty like unique to his situation. That like not everyone's going to be able to recreate. Like you just can't pull a 500,000 subscriber YouTube channel out of your butt. I certainly can. If I could, then I would have done that already. I've got about 176 subs, and that took me, I don't know, I've been at this consistently for like 2 years at this point. It'll be like 2 years in February since I started Braxcast, and honestly, I had messed around with the podcast a little bit before that. Let's see. Death to Fire is going back to Chicago. which is in Illinois, where the wastelands are at. The wastelands consist of Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Yeah, no, that would make sense. Perhaps like a nuke went off there, or something like that, or they built like nuclear reactors and one of them melted down. Well, it's a bit unrealistic. Although, that again, the comic book universe doesn't matter if it's realistic or not. Let's see. Glad you catch all the BK stuff because I never do. Oh, the background stuff. That's what Ivoli's saying. It's actually broken out into categories as well. I intentionally missed any questions related to mechanical because I was afraid it would make me a mechanic. Talking about his time in the Air Force. Yeah. Easter eggs in the background is good. And then yes. So let's see. 177 is what it's talking about. I'm not sure if that's a reference to something. Might be a book worth putting out 10 years from now. Yeah, no, I think at this point it would be a justified thing for him to put out, but to me, like, it's not like, oh, this is Ripverse stuff, so like I don't have a super like passionate take on it. Oh, 177 subs. Oh, I just got one more sub. Yeah. So again, like it's at the point where like a person subscribing is like statistically significant. Not that like I love all. I mean, I don't know, all you guys. I know a certain amount of you guys, but yes, I did. I am looking at my YouTube studio. I do have 177 subs, which is really cool. So someone subscribed. Thank you very much. So I don't know. Maybe at some point I'll get 500 subs, and then at some point I'll get the watch time. But you got to keep making more content. You got to keep on that grind, and. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but anything that's truly great, that's just how it's going to be. Anyways, so that is that. So we covered that video. Like I said, doesn't really give us that much, but let's go on to the 6th issue of the Rippazine. So this is announced earlier the week before the Rippafest. So when this launched, I was like, yes, there was finally something for us to talk about. That wasn't just me rambling about how I'm thinking about moving to Paris Island or anything like that. Merc Lounge reached 50 subs today for 2 months. I think that's not too bad. That's actually pretty good. And you're actually making decent content. When I started with Velvet Room Publishing on YouTube, I was doing my podcast, which was only audio only. And it wasn't really until I started doing the Braxcast and comic reviews where I started building an audience. So most of you guys that watch me on YouTube are watching me for Braxcast and watching my reviews. Although, of course, people will say I have a very tiny audience, and that's fair, and people could get more viewership by doing commentary on Comicsgate stuff, but Rippaverse is consistent enough where like I can make the content that I do. And of course, I've reviewed tons and tons of indie books. I've reviewed Comicsgate books. I reviewed Cyberfrog. I reviewed Inglorious Rex. There's only 2 things that come to mind. I think, yeah, I reviewed. I'm not sure. No, I've read Wrath of God. I don't think I reviewed it. But anyways, I reviewed a bunch of stuff. I can review Rainbow the Brute since I got the Divinity Comics version, and I think I'll do. I want to do that. I'll do it. I'll make it really funny. Like I'm gonna meme it up a bit because it has to be memed up for this. So I think I had a video idea. That's why I have a lot of my Yasoi Zach as well. Yeah, I reviewed a bunch of Zach's books. I did the Theosophy series overview, which I kind of liked. I did Jawbreakers Forever. I've got some more Jawbreakers books. I finally got Iron Sight, so I can do an overview of that at some point. But I am decently lazy, but I got to get on the horse to actually getting these reviews out. So, and doing more, because the more videos you make, the more watch time you get, the more the algorithm promotes you. So it's all part of how you get content. But yeah, Mark, you reached 50 subs. Congrats to you. You're only going to get more, God willing, as you keep at it, you keep doing it. And I'll definitely watch some of your videos on the solo weeks of the stream. Of course, shout you out when I do so that way people can subscribe and give you watch time. But anyways, that's that there. So yeah, a lot of the reviews. So my kind of quest is to become the indie comic review guy, like the ultimate indie comic book review guy. As in, I said on when I did it was on Saturday when we did the Norfolk stream with Toxic Nick. I said I had done 100 comic reviews. That's inaccurate. It's like 60 something reviews that I've done. Whereas it's been over like 100 episodes. There's over 100 Braxcast videos. So you include the special episode I've done. That's currently 97. It's going to be 98 tomorrow because I'll release the 97th episode of Braxcast. And then I've done, I don't know how many live streams I've done, but I've probably done about 20-ish or so because I started last March or so. Just live streaming, and that's what I was really consistent with it every week until I moved, and then once I got settled in, I have been very consistent with it. There was only like 1 week where I was late, and I don't know. The third Friday of every month, there's like gun range, meetup that's close to me. I don't want to go, but it's during the time, so I might just push it back like 1 week. But I would keep you guys in the loop on that. Let's see. Also, awesome stream with Nick and company. Are you still planning to help Nick's friend with some comics? Yeah, I've been contacted by that. Nick said he'll be in touch with me. And Nick, if you're watching this, hit me up in the DMs and we'll plan something out. I'm willing to send him some books his way to get him reading. I just wasn't contacted about that. So, if you contact me at some point, I'll be out all day tomorrow, basically. As long as like it's not too snowy, I'm gonna go and do the hike because like I want to get out of the house and go on a nice 20-mile round trip hike in the freezing cold. That's really going to get the blood pumping, get the head slightly clear because there's a lot of stuff going on in my life right now, and it's only going to get more intense somehow. And I think at some point things are going to settle down, and then I'll be able to move on. It's expensive to ship to Ecuador. That's where he freaking lives. Oof, yeah. Oh no, no, I couldn't afford it because it'd probably be like what, $200 for me to like personally ship him stuff. So I mean, I could probably, if I got his address, I could get like a decent like quote for like shipping like the 5-pound ish box, and then saying, hey, it's going to be this much. But if you guys pitched in, it was a little bit later. But anyways, that's something that we'll have to talk about. Let's see. But Andrew was saying, yeah, this is the way y'all should be supporting and promoting one another. That's definitely how it ought to be. And apparently Garfield was saying Zach is not doing that. He's attacking his own supporters who backed his failed lawsuit, and his books is insane. We all move on. Yeah. I'm not sure what his freaking lawsuit was over. But the thing is Zach never turns, I've talked about this, he never turned Splatto Comics into like a thing. I wish he did. I think he had some interesting ideas, and he had a lot of really good takes on the comic industry because he had been reading comics for longer than I've been around, and I'm not super young anymore. I'm not an old man, but like my hair used to be a lot thicker. I was looking at some old pictures of myself back from when I was 21, and my hair was a lot thicker back then. So like I'm not like, super, super young. He was reading comics back in like the 80s, man. So he has this like knowledge. He's a lifelong fan of comics. So he really brought that energy into his, his earlier content, I ought to say. And that is what I'd say is lost at this point because he's got this really, I'd say antiquated, but really weird mindset. Like he like you said, like I've said this before. I'll stay with this. He wants to be a writer for like 90s Marvel or DC, whatever his preference is, but like he wants to be like someone who could write for Marvel back in the 90s. Like if he could go back to like the year like 1995 or even 98, actually probably like more like 1990 or 1992, between the years of 1990 probably 1993 is where he would want to be like a writer for Marvel. Even then, a lot of the older guys were like, yeah, Marvel and DC were only like downhill by that point. That's when it like really started, was the early to mid 90s, and then like the 2000s or the late 90s, you have the comic crash, and then it kind of revitalized in the 2000s. Of course, you had the wokeism. That was around the new 52 for Marvel, or DC, I ought to say. And then I don't know exactly what it was for Marvel. What would be the analogous like arc? Definitely by the time the new Warriors, which had never happened. What was it? Daniel Kibblesmith? Like his book got axed. We all loved him. He was so man. Okay, I can't even. I'm being sarcastic. Oh man, but that's so freaking funny, man. Let's see. Okay, I think talking about that. But anyways, we're actually covering the 6th Rippazine. So this is going to be 50-page issue. Of course, Andrew's in the chat. He's the lead editor of this. This is also coming with the art of Kanan White, which is really, really cool. I got the book pack of this. I know Merc Lounge, you really liked my Saints and Sinners overview of the concept art book. I did that on an episode of Braxcast, and you actually used that video of me, like when you were making this video, and like you used what I said for reference, which I freaking love that. It just made it so like, oh man, it's so worth it. I love doing it because that's how I read the books. Because I actually go into it blind, and like the only time I read the book is when I do the episode of Braxcast. So basically, I read the book like live for you guys, like get my reaction to it, and then I move on to the next thing. I'm not like much of a big. I really ought to like reread these books because like so that way I catch more things and I become even more knowledgeable of the Rippaverse. But I definitely got to reread Alpha Core when Alpha Core number 2 gets like when I get the shipment notification for Alpha Core number 2, I'm going to go and reread Alpha Core number 1, God willing, so that way I can get it fresh in my mind. Although it's still like pretty like that ending is always going to be in my mind, man. Of course, you know, Billy Bob Quinn and Galvin, gotta love those villains. Definitely, yeah, getting the art of Kanan White. I'm getting that as well. Be doing an episode of that on Braxcast. We got a glimpse of Shodron and Isom Free and Rippazine 4. When do you predict his next actual appearance? I don't know. That's really hard to say when his next appearance is going to be. I would like to say Isom 4. It's kind of hinted at in Isom Free. Like you said, we get a glimpse of that in Isom number 3. Rippazine 4, of course, with Catch and Kill. Like now I'm remembering it. That was a really interesting thing to see. So like it really is like the fact that Shodron appears, I guess, you know, spoilers, but you know, who cares? In Rippazine number 4, it was like a really like out of left field thing. So, you know, we could just be reading like Yaira 4 or Alpha Core 2 and Shodron appears, like, or Great War. Well, you think he could appear in Great War Separation? That's just what I'm thinking of. That's a weird thing for me to think about. So it could be any book, but I would say if I'm like, you know, predicting them do it by the books, it would be Isom 4, but it could really be any book in the Rippaverse. Other than like if there was another Zalon book that came out, I could foresee Shodron showing up in like any Rippaverse book. He could be in Horseman. That would be interesting to see how Horse would deal with Shodron. Of course, it wouldn't go well. But I would say like logically Isom number 4, but he could have other appearances. But there is going to be at some point in the Isom ongoing series a conflict between Shodron and Isom. It just has to be. It's just the way things are, my friend. So that will happen at some point. But of course, we're still on the Rippaverse. Garfield got me talking about the Rippaverse, not the Roman Empire. We're going to stick onto the Rippaverse today. Only a little bit of retching. Could be in the Detention Crew or Echoes of Siphion, since they take place in that area up north. Theoretically, so Echoes of Siphion is the short story that is going to be written by Eric July, drawn by Kanan White, and colored by Marcos Martins, if I'm getting that correctly. And this is like just so epic looking. Of course, Kanan's White is awesome. And we'll watch the video here.
You've seen stories unfold in Flores Park, Texas. You follow them into the depths of outer space and across realms far removed from our own. But back on Earth, there's a region long forgotten, an expanse left shattered in the aftermath of the Great War of Separation, a place so destabilized that most of the world refuses to acknowledge it still exists. To outsiders, it's a no-go zone. Airspace avoided, a land written off as ungovernable. Yet, life persisted. Micro cities emerged, rising, collapsing, changing hands as power shifted. Entities moved in and out. And what remains is one of the most dangerous and most unique regions on the planet. It's here that you'll encounter characters unlike any you've met before, such as Nyler, a nomad, a man whose journey leads him into Teflon, a city owned and operated by the Talberry Corporation, where order is enforced and existence itself must be accounted for. A brand new journey like never before in the Rippaverse. This is Echoes of Scythion, written by me, Eric July, illustrated by Kanan White, colored by Marcos Mark. A new story appearing in Rippazine issue number 6.
Okay, absolutely epic. I love that little cover from Eric July, not cover up. But anyways, there is a like region. So here we go. I'm not sure if I can necessarily 100% begin this, but we can actually. No, that's not how it works. Oh, I despise that. Okay, so let's see. Anyways, you can see where my mouse is going. So this no-go zone, as you can see, you've got the Mid-Southern Alliance, which basically it excludes this region of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. It's these three states here. This is like the no-go zone. It seems to be like um, centering around Wisconsin. Of course, Michigan's got that like peninsula. I love peninsulas. Fun fact about me is I'm a peninsula guy. But Michigan has like what ought to be part of Wisconsin is part of Michigan actually, and Michigan is still part of the United States, which is also a peninsula. Fun fact. So you got Minnesota. So I guess I don't know. Political joke. Tim Walz offered too many tampons to boys and allowed too many Somali daycares to be open in the Rippaverse timeline. So it just became a wasteland. And then I guess Illinois, Chicago. It just Chicago became Illinois rack. And then, of course, Wisconsin is Wisconsin. But anyway, it's still interesting to have a dead area in the Rippaverse. So this certainly is interesting to see. And I'm sure this is something that, like, why this region exists is something that um, would be something that would have to be explained, like, before Great War separation. Because, like, the Bromhouse interested is something that took over. Like, yeah, the Somalis took it over. No one, absolutely no one. Me, I'm a peninsula guy. Honestly, there's a meme of like the girl at the bar, like covering her head and her ears, and the guy's just like yelling into her ear or whatever. It's like, yeah, peninsulas are so cool. Like they're not islands because they're still connected to a larger landmass, like Florida is. You can technically consider India to be a peninsula, but it's also actually a subcontinent. And the definition for a continent is actually extremely vague. Because if you go by the typical definition for continents, then like Europe shouldn't be a continent because it's not separated from Asia by water, so it's very vague where Europe ends and Asia begins. And then if you go by like tectonic plates, there's a lot more than 7 continents. Like there's a Caribbean continent because there's a Caribbean plate. But anyways, I think you mean the pirates took it over. The Somali pirates. So there's Somali pirates, right? But it's only a joke, man. But anyways, let's see. Shadron easily no diff to Isom. I would love to see how Yaira or Zalon fails against Shadron or Norfolk as well. Looking forward to the animation of this. So yeah, I'd love to just see I just want more combat animation, like a Yaira versus Zalon animation as one of those clips that we got for 100K. Another thing that happened is that the animation crowdfund was reopened. We smashed that 100K goal, so clap, guys. Although I'm holding the microphone in my hand, so I can't exactly clap. Let's see. So we got something else. I think you mean the Leering centers. Leering centers everywhere. So this entire region is just like Leering centers. So this is where the most Leering centers are. And then the Leering center density just slightly thins out and becomes more civilized as you go. Let's see. I'm guessing because of the timing, Great War 3 explains the wasteland. I don't think it would, Mike, because this split up of America basically happens. I mean, this map. Let's go. Let me go mute. I'm going to go mute and then get the Great War separation book so I can look at the map and then see if the map actually looks the same as this. Give me a second. Okay, if anyone accuses me of not being a professional live streamer that always has everything prepared, well, they're correct. Certainly so. But anyways, we're going to open up this map. It's like the first page, and yep, actually, fun fact, it's the same map. It just shows Texas as being Texas instead of like in the Great War separation map. It's just showing that it's the United States. So this whole region, it exists before the Great War separation. So my point, Mike, remains is that there's an event that happened before the Great War separation where you have the rest of the US. So you have like Bromhouse incident, you have the mid MSA forming, you have Greater Florida, the Carolinas forming, and then of course the United States maintaining. One thing I really despise in this alternate timeline, the reverse, is that like New Hampshire didn't become its own country. So the one thing I would have liked, especially since Eric July is a libertarian, would be for the United States to be United States and then like New Hampshire become its own country. Honestly, that's the story I want to write more so than the Rippaverse or Roman Empire like crossover event would be for it to be like how New Hampshire gets its independent, how New Hampshire gets its independence. That's what I want to write, man. I want to write that. Like another appeal to heaven. Let's see. Yeah, I'll let the Merc Lounge handle the lore. Let's see. Yeah, but anyways, I think it's an honest mistake to make, and honestly, we probably could get some commentary on that. It could have happened during the Great War separation, but with the way the map is drawn, like it just really implies to me that this was a wasteland for a while before the Great War separation. Eric did say when Texas split from the United States, it wasn't the same as our United States. It was already different. Yes, exactly. So I feel like in that, like before like Texas splitting from the U.S., you could have this situation. So it was left shattered in the aftermath of the Great War of separation. I'm not sure exactly if I think it was already shattered, but it's even more shattered when Texas, if it's Great War separation, but who knows? Who knows? But anyways, I'm pretty sure that's how it is. But anyways, that's the interesting thing with, we'll zoom in a little bit. Let's see. Eric says it in the trailer. Let's see. We'll watch.
You've seen stories unfold in Flores Park, Texas. You follow them into the depths of outer space and across realms far removed from our own. But back on Earth, there's a region long forgotten, an expanse left shattered in the aftermath of the Great War of Separation. A place.
Okay, fair. Left shattered in the aftermath of the Great War of Separation. So exactly that. So I'm completely wrong. But to me, I feel like the conditions for that to even happen is something that happens before. So I guess I'm being very stubborn right now. But yes, okay. I did not digest that. But like to me, it could have been like something that was like not in the territory of any of the states and they were staying independent. But it does seem like why in the Great War separation that map would be the same. Could it be a bit of an oversight? Could it be the fact that like they were on the path to this and the Great War separation really just like that? So this probably could have been territory that was part of the U.S. So we can look at this map again.
You've seen stories, Governor.
Actually, no.
Yet, long forgotten. An expanse.
Yeah, so as you can see, while the bulk of this land is, the Mid-Southern Alliance, but you have the U.S., the United States still having like access to, like I said, this land because they've got this peninsula right here that they can go and actually get supplies in through this like waterway. They got that waterway as well. So they could have been having a lot of access. And then what I imagine happened is that they diverted a lot of resources to try and getting this region under control, to trying to get Texas under control. And then in like focusing on the Great War separation and trying to actually, make the Lone Star submit to the Stars and Bars, which is really weird thing to say, then that region probably accelerated its collapse. That's the way I'm viewing it. But it does actually, I don't know, But the fact, yeah, that this is like bordered here does imply that it's its own like it's separate from the U.S. In a way, like it's also like not. It's a little odd. But anyways, if I remember correctly, the map in the first Great War issue was something similar to this map, and it dates before the war. Yes, exactly. So that's the thing that I'm a little bit confused on. It's basically exactly the same, except instead of this saying Texas, this says United States. I'm thinking someone used a nuke, probably maybe a power plant meltdown. Certainly could be the case. So, like I said, it's just those are things that to me feel a bit conflictory. But of course, I feel like we'll probably get a little bit of insight in Echoes of Scythian. And then we've also got fact that Great War Separations got 2 more issues. I'll probably in issues 3 and 4 we'll probably get a little bit of insight into this as well. But yeah, I'm really excited for the 6th issue of the Rippazine. Rippazine has got like a really good format down at 50 pages. Andrew does fantastic work. So let's see. So I'm just excited, and of course got it very solidly down. Got it through my thick skull that this has happened in the aftermath of the Great War Separation. I'm getting the hiccup somehow. I did go to D'Angelo's. That's the New England thing. If you guys ever go to New England, I would recommend. I mean, I don't like to eat takeout all the time, but D'Angelo's is pretty good. I had a Korean barbecue sandwich and I had a mug root beer, which I typically don't. That's probably why. It's probably what's giving me the hiccups. But anyways, let's keep up with the chat here. I'm still not sure how long after the Great War we're dropped in as an audience, but I'm guessing 25-ish years. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Isom's very young in Great War Separation, and he's an adult man. He's been around for a while. It's probably in his like mid 30s, probably around that range. I would imagine Isom is somewhere like around the age of like 35, I would say. Because he's, he was, young adult years ago, and then he retired. And so, there's time that passed between them. So he was able, own a ranch. So he's been around for a bit. That's the point that I'm making. Let's see. I think maybe that area was already somewhat damaged before the war, and after the war, it became what it is in Echoes of Scythian. Let's see. The war happened about 20 to 25 years before Isom won. Yeah, I feel like that's a good thing. Because like I said, Isom was very young. Altona was very young. Altona, she got married, had a kid. He became a widow. That's stuff that takes time, especially when in the Great War Separation you're starting off as a kid. So it would probably be about like 20, 25 years. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And of course, I think Kato was quite young. And Kato was probably, thinking about it. Let's see. Which of the 10 short animations are you looking forward to the most? We are getting free Isom, free Yaira, free Bloodroof, and 1 Rinlin animation. Probably Yaira and Bloodroof animations the most. What I'm looking forward to. Of course, we don't necessarily have the Rippa Works, but we can open up Rippa Works. It just Rippa Works. Man, I remember this is like over 10 years ago at this point. E3 2015. Remember when E3 was a thing? I do. Pepperidge Farms remembers. Rippa Works. No, Rippa Works, Rippaverse. Let's see if I can't find the page. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's see. $100,000 goal. Let's see. Produce a fully animated high action trailer for Rippazine number 6. Cinematic if both goals are met. Oh yeah, we're getting the 10. That's the $50,000 goal. 10 short animated clips featuring Isom, Yaira, and Bloodroof. I think Rin was a meme. Let's see. Yeah, I remember vividly. But yeah, with E3 2015. Yeah, you're older than me, Mike, by like a good bit. So of course you remember like the early E3s, like the ones where like GameCube games and stuff were showing. I didn't really remember those. I remember the ones like E3 2015. I remember quite vividly because that was like the last one Iwata was alive for. They did the puppet show because he had cancer. I loved Nintendo back then. Like Nintendo was peak Nintendo during the Wii U era. And yeah, the Diablo phone game debacle was around that time. It was like, I don't know, it was around like 18 or so. So it was around like just under 10 years ago, I think. But like, the guy that went up was like, is this a bad April Fool's joke? And of course, eventually, and I haven't played Diablo 4, but I remember Diablo 3. That was my jam. I guess not dating myself. I would be dating myself if I said, oh yeah, the original Diablo I played when I was in middle school. But no, it was Diablo 3. But I remember when Reaper of Souls came out. I was playing with a bunch of guys and they stayed up all night. I went to bed. I went to school the next day. And they were like 10 levels ahead of me, so I couldn't play with them anymore. I was like, we're all playing as Crusader because that was a new character for character class. I did Demon Hunter, then did Crusader. And that was Diablo. I love Diablo 3. That was a fun game. Although a lot of people did not like Diablo 3. I have no idea what Diablo 4. Some people say it's really good. Other people say it's really bad. This is not really that into Blizzard. Yeah. Do you guys not have phones? Yes, I have a phone. It's just that like I want to play Diablo on my PC because it's a PC game. It's like. Eric added Rinland animation after chat reached 50,000 on one of his streams. Oh, he did. That's cool. Well, yes, I remember the Diablo mobile phone. I remember that very well too. And this was in the interim while we were waiting for Diablo 4. And then of course, like that happens and like all the woke nonsense that Blizzard, because eventually got bought out by Microsoft. I'm not sure if they were part of Microsoft at that point. But regardless, it was like, I don't even want to buy Diablo 4 at this point because it just took so long. You have that happening. And I'm Diablo'd out. But yeah, Diablo, it's a fun game. I'm sure Diablo 4 would be fun. And I remember beating it one Saturday morning, Diablo 3. Like, you actually beat the Diablo. I'm like, that's fun. But it's not something that's like, I got plenty of games to play, not enough time to play them because, I'm an adult with a job. And, like I said, I'm going to go hiking tomorrow. It's an all-day thing. You got to spend like an hour and a half on the road, and then you got to spend like 5. Probably going to be like 6 hours hiking, man. Because there's the 10 mile, but it's pretty flat, so I'll be able to do it pretty quickly. If I don't get snowed in, which who knows at this point. Anyways, let's see. Mike says it very well. Loves Nintendo as a product, not as a company. Yes, that probably was even true when Iwata was CEO of the company. But now it's just like Nintendo does like a lot of really corporate stuff that I just can't get behind. Switch 2 is a really cool device. It makes so many great games. But like the entire the Switch when it first launched and it was really basic and bare bones, it's like, okay, I'll excuse it. Because they're getting everything ready, but at this point, there's no excuse, and there's nothing like Street Pass or Miiverse. So Street Pass was so cool on your 3DS. Like you open your 3DS, you get your Street Pass, and you get all the stuff from it. Was so freaking cool, man. And I remember, maybe this is part because I'm not as young, but I remember in high school there's a kid who had a 3DS, and I did as well. And I would just told him, want to play some Smash? Yeah. And then we play Smash, and then you get your Street Pass stuff. It's just it's just like the charm of the 3DS, the wackiness of the Wii U, even though nobody bought one. I do have one. It probably still works because Nintendo's hardware is pretty good, all things considered. It's just not like the Switch doesn't have that charm. The games are good. The hardware itself is pretty sleek and nice, and it works well. But there's nothing like Street Pass, and Street Pass should be on Switch. There's no freaking excuse for there to not be a version of Street Pass on the Switch, especially if I had to pay $50 a year, which I didn't have to with the Wii U or the 3DS for online play. Give me Street Pass. Again, I like being able to play Luigi's Mansion on my Switch, the original one. It's cool. I mess around with number 3, but I was playing the original one, and I was like, it freaked me out when I first played. It's over 20 years ago at this point when I first played it. And I remember just behind the couch because I was so scared of Luigi's Mansion. But anyways, being able to like, play that and, relive your childhood, that's nice. But it just doesn't feel like so much of that charm has been stripped away. And there's no reason for Nintendo to inject it back because they don't have because I bought a Switch. Everyone bought a Switch too. Everyone's buying a Switch. It's going to be like the best selling console ever made. Let's see. They do have game share on Switch 2 where only one person needs to own it and 4 can play online together. Yeah, stuff like that is cool. But again, Street Pass, like these things that aren't related to playing the games themselves, but are like console features. Like the Wii U had Miiverse, and a really cool home screen. The 3DS, like I said, had Street Pass, which I freaking love Street Pass. It just stuff like that doesn't exist for this. The Switch doesn't have themes. It just has light and dark mode. Like there's no themes like the 3DS had themes. Of course, you have to pay $2 for each one, which was wasn't too bad. But it's just like so much of the charm of what made Nintendo so different and cool to be a fan of the company. Not necessarily the company, but of the consoles and to be in the Nintendo ecosystem. Like being in the Nintendo ecosystem back in 2015. I got a Wii U for my 17th birthday when I was 15, or back in 2015, I should say. And I was going on and on, everyone else. I was not being subtle at all that I wanted a Wii U because I had gotten a 3DS earlier that year, and then I was able to get my parents got me a Wii U for my birthday, which was so weird, but I wanted to play the games because I was getting back into Nintendo. I was oh, they're still releasing games and they're actually pretty cool because I had kind of grown out of being the baby phase. And I was very short in my life where I was oh, this is for babies and you can't play Nintendo games because I got to be an adult and play Call of Duty and Battlefield and Halo because I'm trying to be super mature. Now it's kind of at the point where I'm live streaming right now, and part of this is I like to do it for you guys. It's I'm still talking about comic books and stuff, so in a lot of ways I'm still a kid at heart. But I gotta go to work every day. I like to go hiking. I do the gym. I do the content stuff. So I'm not just sitting on my butt playing games all day. But anyways, that it goes without to say. We have covered the 6th issue of the Rippazine. Echoes of Cyphrion is going to be really exciting. Rippafest winners is really exciting. $100,000 for the Rippaworks animation crowdfund. Really, really cool. Looking forward to those animations, and definitely big congrats to all the winners. And yeah, definitely I would like that store credit, but I'm sure I'll be contacted formally and I'll have to iterate at that in writing or something like that. But I'm going to get that store credit and get a good amount of Rippaverse purchases. But I have covered everything on that I've wanted to cover. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I think I am going to end it here because, like I said, I want to get up early tomorrow. I still got to, record some stuff. So I got to get stuff done. But hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Definitely will be back at this again next week. I'm sure there'll be more stuff for me to cover. Stuff is going to get fulfilled quite soon. And I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of announcements. But for now, that's all I have for you guys. Joker is out.